Hello everybody and welcome back to Dollar Tree Dinners. Today is Fake Out Friday, where we make restaurant inspired meals at home. And I think it's safe to say that I am number one, Taco Bell'd out, and number two, have fulfilled my moral obligation in sharing the Baja sauce and jalapeno sauce recipes. So I think we can move away from Taco Bell, at least for a short while, and maybe come back to it again in the future. I was going to be showing you how we make Chick-fil-A at home, but we actually had that for dinner last night. So tonight we're gonna do Panda Express at home. And specifically, we're gonna make our favorite Panda Express entree, which is Beijing beef. I am not gonna be making chow mein. As much as I love Panda Express's chow mein, I have tried probably close to a dozen recipes that claim to be copycats of their chow mein, and none of them to me have tasted like chow mein. I've tried a variety of different types of noodles. I've tried a variety of different sauce combinations, and I'm always just kind of disappointed with how it turns out. So for the time being, I do not have a go-to recipe for their chow mein. My hot take is that Panda Express is actually one of the more affordable fast food chains, especially when it comes to feeding a family, because when we order Panda Express, we just get the family deal, which comes with 3 large entrees and 2 large sides, and it's $35 to $40. And that's a lot cheaper than trying to make all of those components at home. And again, since I haven't mastered the chow mein, to me, it's worth getting the real deal. So if I think Panda Express is affordable, if I personally still order Panda Express because I haven't mastered some of the recipes at home, then why am I making Panda Express at home? I still like to recreate things at home. I like to try new recipes. I like to learn new things. I think there's a lot that we can learn from restaurants. You know how the old saying goes, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for life. And so one thing I want to share with you is some of my process and the research that I do before I make a recipe. And it kind of came up on Tuesday when I did the KFC Nashville Hot Loaded Fries Bowl, but I like to go on social media and see if I can find a video of it actually being prepared in store. That can be a good way to not only learn like cooking techniques that are used in restaurants, but also to help you pick a recipe that most closely resembles how it's prepared in the restaurant. So let's watch a video of Beijing beef being prepared in Panda Express together, and I'll tell you what I see when I'm watching this video. The first is that their beef comes pre-breaded, and it looks like it comes to the store frozen. They deep fry the beef, of course, and then we're grabbing some sliced onions and some chopped bell pepper, red bell pepper specifically. Beef comes out of the fryer and we're moving over to a hot wok. We've got what looks like chili, garlic, and some chili garlic paste, and that goes in the wok. Then we have what looks like some kind of a sweet and sour sauce. Now I'm not saying that that's what it is, but that's what it looks like. We're heating those up together. Here's the interesting part. They take the peppers and onions and they deep fry them with the beef. And if you count this out, it's in the fryer for exactly 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Take it out. All right, so our beef and vegetables then go in our wok. It gets tossed in our sauce. All of this is over extremely high heat. You can see the flames kind of going. That's not the type of cooking environment that I have at home, but we learned a lot from this video. But that's the process of how Panda Express makes Beijing beef, and then we can take a lot of that information and use it to adapt our own home recipe version. Now, I will be totally honest with you guys and say that this is not my recipe that I'm going to be following today. This is from topsecretrecipes.com. It is not a free website. I think I pay like $2.99 or something for it, and then I get to test out the recipes and share them with you guys. Sometimes I do have to make changes to the recipes based on my own preferences, but the Beijing beef we're making today is going to be based on the version from topsecretrecipes.com. So his recipe calls for flank steak. I don't have any flank steak. I have some beef top sirloin steak. I just took it out of my freezer this morning. In Wednesday's video, I mentioned that I had the ingredients to make hibachi that I ended up not making, and that's what I purchased this steak for. As somebody who makes budget meals and budget meal plans, it's really hard to budget in more expensive cuts of meat. I have to default to whatever I can get that's cheapest, and most of the times that is chicken. And occasionally I can squeeze in like ground beef or Italian sausage or things like that. But I don't think I could be wrong. I don't think I have ever cooked with steak on this channel. I do think this comes out cheaper than buying flank steak. This was $12.99, but flank steak at even my local Walmart costs around $20 a package, so this does work out to, I think, be cheaper than flank steak. The great thing about stir fries specifically though, is that they're a really amazing way to take a small amount of meat and feed a whole family. We're gonna get a lot of Beijing beef out of this $13 steak. These are actually 2 steaks. I'm gonna go ahead and separate them so I have 2 smaller portions to work with. And the first thing we need to do is locate the direction that the grain is running so that we can cut perpendicular to it. So what I do is I kind of run my fingers across the steak, kind of pull it backwards a little bit, and I see what direction the fibers are running. And from there, I can cut very thin strips directly perpendicular to those fibers. That is about how thin we are going for. So you can see how you're going to get a ton of bites of meat out of this steak. There is all of my steak cut into thin 1/8 of an inch thick strips. I'm going to separate them a little bit too. The next step is going to be preparing the marinade, and this one calls for 3 egg whites. I will save the yolks. I'm making breakfast for dinner this weekend, so I'll save the yolks for when I go to make French toast. You can also use the yolks for like egg fried rice, which I contemplated doing, but I also want to make French toast this weekend, and I usually use egg yolks to make French toast whenever I can. Just makes the French toast a little bit richer. So I'll pop those in my fridge for this weekend. And for today, we're just gonna be working with the whites. We're gonna add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. And then to this, we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. That was a little more than 3 tablespoons, but that's okay. The recipe does also call for sesame oil. I've talked about this in passing, but I don't buy sesame oil. I don't cook with sesame oil. I always find that no matter how little I add to it, it becomes an overwhelmingly pungent taste. And I've ruined one too many meals by adding sesame oil to them. So now I just leave it out of every recipe, and I've been fine ever since. We're gonna pour that over our steak. And I'm gonna toss it to coat in all of that marinade. He says to marinate it in the fridge for 2 hours. It is dinner time. I don't have 2 hours to wait, so I'm just gonna marinate it for about 30 minutes. Now, while we wait on that to marinate, we can prep a couple of other components like the vegetables. So I bought 2 red bell peppers today, and we're gonna cut those up into 1-inch pieces. And we can slice up 1 large onion. Two bell peppers to 1 onion is kind of my golden ratio because bell peppers are hollow and onions are not. So there we go. There are our onions and our bell pepper. And the next thing we're gonna do is prepare the sauce. Now I'll go ahead and put the recipe up on screen. But again, I cherry picked this recipe based on how we watched Panda Express making Beijing beef. Because if we look at the ingredients here, we have pineapple juice, rice vinegar, sugar, and ketchup. Those are the ingredients that are typically in sweet and sour sauce. And remember, that's kind of what it looked like. We also have chili garlic paste, which we saw them adding to it. We have some soy sauce. The only thing we're missing from here, I believe, is ginger and garlic, because they definitely added some of that. So because we have insider knowledge on how this was prepared at Panda Express, now we can adjust the recipe to more accurately match Panda Express's version. Let's start with the pineapple juice. It says 2/3 of a cup. Next, a 1/3 cup of rice vinegar, a 1/3 cup granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons ketchup. I think we can kind of just eyeball that. 2, 3. I'm not going to add the chili garlic sauce to this because that's not how Panda Express made it, but I am going to add the soy sauce, which is 1½ teaspoons or 1/2 tablespoon. So 1 teaspoon of oil, 2 teaspoons cornstarch, and 1 tablespoon of water. In case you don't know what chili garlic paste is, this is what it looks like. It's a very thick, that's why it's called a paste. It is delicious and spicy, and it's the main ingredient in Thai sweet chili sauce. So I left this out of this sauce base because we're gonna make it similarly to how it's made at Panda. At this point, my beef is still marinating, but we've got everything else that we need prepped. My oil is preheating on the stovetop. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my kitchen. I'm gonna get some rice going on the rice cooker, and then we'll meet back up for the next step. We are on to our final steps. So we need to dredge our beef, which has been marinating on the counter for about 30 minutes. We're gonna be dredging our beef in just plain cornstarch. And one by one, we're gonna take a strip of beef and we're gonna dredge it in cornstarch. This doesn't look identical to Panda Express's, but it hasn't really soaked up in the cornstarch yet. And also I have a feeling that theirs was probably par fried a little bit. And that's our plate of dredged Beijing beef, which kind of looks like a forbidden funnel cake. Let's go in with a sacrificial piece to see if the oil's hot enough. Oh yeah, we're good to go. So we know that Panda Express did a 5-minute fry on their beef, and we will do the same. And try to drop these in there as quickly as possible, but not overcrowd the pan. I do make a lot of fried food, and 2 things that have made a really big difference are the spider that I got from Dollar Tree and these sheet pans with wire racks for draining, so I don't have to use up a bunch of paper towels every time I go to fry something. We are gonna have to do this beef in batches. So that is batch number 1. This chicken, I keep saying chicken, this beef is so crispy. I just had a piece just to test it out and see. And it's beautifully crispy and tender. It is absolutely perfect. 5 minutes is the perfect amount of time in the fryer. It seems like a lot for how thin these strips are cut, but I assure you, it is beautiful. Like these, I don't know if you can hear that. Hear how crispy that is? Little Beijing beef ASMR. All right, now we're down to our final batch. But we cannot forget that Panda flash fried their veggies. So we're gonna go ahead and do that too. Let's add in our bell pepper carefully. And our onion. And those just fried for about 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's start taking that out. I'm using the same skillet. I don't have a wok, so I'm not going to be using a wok, but we are going to use really high heat. We're going to go in with some fresh oil, not used oil, so not the oil from frying. I also just realized that I'm out of garlic, so I'm just going to add ginger and our chili garlic paste. Add in our sauce, which had the cornstarch slurry in it. So we're gonna let that thicken up before we add in our beef and vegetables. I do wish I had a wok. It would probably make things like this a lot easier, but I don't. So I just make do with a skillet. I don't think I have the right kind of stovetop for a wok anyways, because usually they're used with a gas burner and I have electric. We're gonna start tossing in our beef strips. Because I feel like I should have doubled the sauce. You can also add in some of our peppers and onions. And then I do this kind of motion where I kind of toss the pan back and forth and use a spoon to coat everything in the sauce. I feel like I can add in a little more beef than that. I would say that looks like a fairly successful batch of Panda Express style Beijing beef. There we go, our Beijing beef, and we are having it with just plain white rice because that's all I had the energy to do today. I had intended to make egg fried rice, but that just didn't happen. I'm gonna call in an expert witness. Because,
expert witness?
Well, because Beijing beef is your favorite Panda Express entree. So, how did we feel about this one?
It's not bad, it's close. It's kind of vinegary though.
It is a little vinegary. Like the vinegar and ketchup flavor are very like prominent.
It's not bad, it's close.
You need to get closer, microphone.
Oh.
So let's say Panda Express is like a 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. How close would you say that this comes?
I'd say it's probably an 8.5.
8.5? Okay. So I feel like it maybe just needs to cut back on the vinegary elements a little bit. So the rice vinegar and the ketchup, and keep pretty much everything else the same because the heat level's really good. The chicken, I keep saying chicken. The beef is really crispy. Yeah. It's really tender. The sauce itself is good. It just doesn't really quite taste like Beijing beef, right?
Not quite.
Not quite.
It's close though.
Yeah. It's a passable substitute. That was a late dinner because we had football practice earlier today, so I didn't get started cooking until sometime after 7. It's now 9:30. Yep. And I still have to edit this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you again soon.